I woke up with a terrible headache. I opened my eyes to see that I was lying down. I raised my hand to cover my eyes from the strong light that was coming from the window, and I noticed a long, thin tube attached to my hand. Wait, am I in the hospital? I looked around. I was lying in bed wearing a hospital gown, but no one was in the room. I checked my body. There was no sign of injuries or broken limbs. I was not feeling any pain. How did I end up here? I turned around and noticed the red button next to my bed. It had a little sign next to it that said, "Press in case of an emergency," and so I did. A nurse came rushing in. When she saw me, she freaked out and started calling the doctors. "Oh my God, Mr. Jeff, you finally woke up! That's a miracle!" Then 2 doctors came in and checked me. They started asking me stupid questions like how my name is spelled or what the sum of 1 plus 1 is. And then they started asking personal questions about different things in my life, and I answered them suspiciously. "You seem perfectly fine. We're just going to run a few tests and see the results. Then you should be able to go home." Wow, your family is going to be happy to see you awake. I was confused. Everything was happening all at once. The doctor noticed I was struggling to understand, so he explained that I had an accident, and I hit my head really hard and broke my leg. I was rushed to the hospital. The doctors treated me well, but I wouldn't wake up. I was in a coma for a year. A whole year! I stared at the doctor's face. Was he joking? It turned out he was not. The doctor explained, when someone falls into a coma, they become unconscious. Nothing could wake them up. They wake up when they're ready, and we only have to wait. My family came rushing in an hour later. Mom, Dad, and my twin sisters. They were excited to see me. Mom was crying and Dad was emotional for the first time in his life. Then, a nice-looking woman called Amelia came in. She said hi to everyone and kissed Mom. Then she kissed me on the cheek, and she gave me a 1-minute hug, then said, "Oh my God, I'm so happy you're back." I looked at her feeling confused. "Excuse me, do I know you?" They all started laughing, and then Mom said, "Oh, the doctors warned us there would be some memory loss because of the head injury." Then she looked at me like she was feeling sorry for me and said, "She's your fiancée. She's the one who saved your life. Don't feel bad, honey. You'll remember everything in time." But I responded, "No, she's not. I don't remember being engaged to anyone." But Mom said, "Look at your finger, sweetheart. The ring is there. Amelia has one too." I didn't know what to respond. My mom said it as if it was a fact. I looked at my hand and there it was. And then I looked at Amelia. She didn't say anything. She just smiled. The whole thing felt so strange. How could I remember everything about my life before the accident, but not Amelia? 3 days later, I was discharged from the hospital, and they took me straight to my parents' house. They put me in a wheelchair because it would take some time to train my legs to walk again. Everyone was happy to see me, and Mom prepared a nice dinner for us all. Amelia was used to being at my parents' house, joking with Dad, helping Mom, and talking to my sisters. She pushed the wheelchair, set the dinner table, and sat next to me. Every time I would ask for something at the table, she would put it beside me. And I didn't like it. My parents were updating me about things that happened when I was unconscious, when I screamed in panic. "Oh, what about Twix, my dog? Did anyone take care of her?" "Yeah, I did," Amelia said. "I brought her to my apartment after we were told that your coma might take a while." I looked at her feeling pissed. Am I the only one who finds her annoying? She seems to meddle in everything. Who is this woman? And why don't I feel anything towards her? I stayed at my parents' house because it was near the hospital, and I needed to attend my physiotherapy sessions. And of course, Amelia escorted me most of the time. I wanted to talk to her in private and get to know how we met, but there was never a good time for that. We were always surrounded by people. My family would not leave us alone, and my friends and coworkers visited me at the house to check up on me. But one night, I decided to call Tom, my best friend. He was in China for a business trip. I FaceTimed with my new phone because the old one got destroyed in the accident. I asked him about Amelia and if I mentioned her to him. And he said, "Yes, you said you were dating a lovely girl and you were excited to have her in your life. Congrats, buddy. I didn't know that you proposed already." I hung up the phone feeling more confused. It seemed that the universe was playing a sick joke on me where I was not able to remember my fiancée. Eventually, I had to give in. I started treating Amelia nicely and accepting the fact that I did propose to her. I'm going to give her a chance. Maybe I'll fall in love with her. My family kind of likes her already, and they get along with her just fine. And so I did. I did my best to shush that awkward feeling about her and start focusing on her positive attributes. 2 months later, I was able to walk again. I went back to my apartment. Amelia helped me get some of the things back. It was exactly how I left it. And there was even a picture of me and Amelia on the shelf. I sat on the sofa and asked Amelia, "Honey, could you bring me a pillow from my bedroom?" And she said, "Sure." But then, instead of going to the bedroom, she went to the bathroom. I laughed and told her, "It seems you don't remember the way to the bedroom. It's on the left." She laughed awkwardly and said, "Yeah, I haven't been here in a while." Sure, if I was in a coma all this time, she definitely wouldn't have the time to spend it here, I thought. But what happened next made me question her again. Amelia was always busy. Every time I suggested we spend time together, she would give me an excuse for why she can't. She worked as a cafe manager, and she would always say she couldn't leave the cafe because there was too much work, and she can't leave it for the other workers, which seemed implausible, because I know she can control her own hours. Then, when my dad suggested going on a family trip to our beach house, she was the first to say yes. "I could make that work. I could hire an employee for when we are gone," she said. "Wait, what?" I looked at her and said, "I've been trying to go out on a dinner with you for 2 weeks now, and you said you couldn't because you were preoccupied with work. What happened now?" She blushed and said, "The worker that I count on the most got back from his trip 2 days ago, so I'm free now." I didn't say anything, and she went to the beach house. She was happy to be with the family. On the first day, I asked her to go on a long walk with me just before sunset. The view was magical, and I thought that was the perfect time to kiss her, because I haven't tried that since I woke up from my coma. She only kissed me on the cheek and forehead, but I thought she was ready to do that. I leaned over to kiss her, and the kiss was good. It was not great or mesmerizing, just good. A bit disappointing, actually, and so I decided to break up with her. That's it, I couldn't do it anymore. As soon as we got back to the city, I was going to break up with her. But then 2 days after I got to my apartment, my friends and coworkers arranged a party for me. They wanted to celebrate my engagement and welcome my coming back to work at the same time. It seemed inappropriate to announce my breakup at that time. So at the night of the party, I went to pick Amelia up, and wow! She looked amazing in her black dress. I felt that I was falling for her and that I really liked her. When I got there, I started introducing her to my friends. She didn't seem to know anyone there. And then while I was talking to my boss, a very beautiful lady came next to me and said, "I thought you disappeared." I looked at her and said, "I'm sorry, but how do I know you?" She smiled and said, "Yeah, I'm Kristen. We were supposed to go on our first date right before you had the accident. I waited, but you never called, so I assumed you were not interested." I stared at her for a few moments, and my brain was going in circles. Kristen, Amelia, the accident, the engagement. There's a link between them all, but I can't get my hands on it. I apologized to Kristen, and I went straight to ask Amelia about how exactly we met. Something was not right. She was standing on the balcony outside, but when I came close, I heard her saying, "I can't do this anymore. I thought it would be easy, but it wasn't. I think I'm going to tell him tonight." Wait, who was she talking to? I took 3 steps back and then stood next to the door, and then I heard her speak one more time. "Simon, this is getting out of hand. He's not buying it. He's noticing all the wrong things I'm doing. Maybe I'm not a good actor." Simon? Was she talking to my dad? Something was messed up indeed, but I didn't expect that my dad had something to do with it. Then she said, "I'll talk to you later, when we get back home." She hung up and stood there for a minute to calm down. My initial thought was to yell at her and make her explain everything to me. But after a second thought, I decided not to. If there was something going on, I needed to know it all by myself, because she would most likely lie to my face and twist the truth. So I took a deep breath and went out there, saying, "Oh, honey, I missed you. What are you doing here?" Amelia just smiled awkwardly and came in with me. I introduced her to more friends as if nothing happened. That night, Amelia spent the night at my house. While she was sleeping, I took her phone and opened it by pressing one of her fingers on the lock screen. I knew she couldn't wake up because she drank too much that night. She was nervous, and I kept giving her drinks. And when I opened her phone, I read something that shocked the hell out of me. Dad was having an affair with Amelia. They had tons of pictures together, sleeping in different hotel rooms and even in our beach house. What the hell? But in a strange way, it all clicked. When I had the accident, Dad saw Amelia. He liked her and started seeing her. Then they faked the whole engagement thing so Dad could cheat on Mom whenever he wanted to. I mean, she would be my wife, so no one would suspect anything if they saw them together. And when I asked Tom about her, he confirmed it to me because he thought I was talking about Kristen, not Amelia. Oh, how sneaky of them. I thought I was going crazy for not remembering her. It turns out I was only a fool. I then scrolled down the messages between her and my dad. And there, I found the answer. Dad had promised her $2 million if she marries me and stays with him. He told her that she was the love of his life. Ugh! I was furious to think my dad would manipulate me and use me as a puppet to satisfy his own pleasure. I felt like a complete idiot. And $2 million? I didn't know my dad had that much money. Where was he hiding all of this? I sat there speechless, trying to soak it all in, but I couldn't sit still. Mom doesn't deserve this, and Amelia cannot take Dad's money if he had any. It should be ours, his children. So I made a copy of the messages and sent them to my mom. She needs to know the truth. In the morning when Amelia woke up, I told her that everything was over between us. She looked confused and even said, "We just celebrated our engagement." She totally believed her lie, as if we were a normal couple who loved each other, but I just refused to listen and kicked her out of the house. Then, an hour later, I got a call from Mom. I went to our house. She and Dad were fighting. "I want a divorce now," she screamed. And Dad looked at me. He knew I was the one to do this. He yelled at me saying, "If only you could keep your mouth shut." I yelled back, "Are you screaming at me? You should keep your zipper shut." Dad was furious, but he said nothing and left the room. My parents got divorced 2 months later. But the surprise was that the money my dad wanted to give Amelia was Mom's in the first place. Mom came from a rich family that I knew nothing about. She wrote everything in my name in a will so no one can ever get it but me. And now I'm dating Kristen, my first true crush.
Hi there, my name is Emily. I want to tell you my story about how my brother won a ton of money playing the lottery. Wow, lucky guy. This is going to be a happy story, you might think. Well, listen to what happened and then decide for yourself. You know that saying about how family comes first? Well, maybe it does. That is, until something happens that changes a member of your family so much that you don't even recognize them anymore. In the case of my brother, the thing that changed him was money. Lots and lots and lots of money. Here's the full picture. I'm 15 and my brother Nate is 21. I loved having a big brother. Nate was usually pretty nice to me and didn't treat me like his dumb kid sister. I looked up to him. When he got his first job out of college, I was super proud of him. Nate would sometimes buy me cute stationery or my favorite candy with his paychecks. What a big brother, right? At his job, he joined a syndicate that played the lottery each week. He threw in his share on a Friday, but like most people, never expected to actually, win. Then came this incredible day. I will never forget it. Nate came home and he looked pale and kind of nervous. I asked him what was wrong, and he gave me this quick, tight hug and asked where our parents were. My mom came into the room, and Nate asked us to sit down. Honestly, I was actually pretty worried at this point. Was he ill? Had he been fired from his job? I could never have guessed what Nate was about to tell us. "I've won some money," he said. "The syndicate at work. We won the lottery. It's almost $1 million. My mom leaped up and hugged him. I did the same. We were so happy for him. It was the biggest news I'd ever heard. My brother had won the lottery. When my dad came home, Nate told him about his lottery win, and we all went out to my brother's favorite Mexican restaurant to celebrate. My dad picked up the bill for us all, and we had such an amazing time. In fact, that evening was pretty much the last time we all had fun like that together. The thing is, almost straight away, Nate got weird about his money. My mom wondered if he would want to move out of home and find his own place, but he didn't. That wasn't a problem, but when my mom and dad asked my brother to contribute towards the food bills or something, he got resentful about it. And then, boom! I mean, literally, the family car finally gave up. It was old and it wasn't a surprise, but my parents didn't have enough spare money to buy another. My dad asked Nate if he would be able to throw in a few $100s towards replacing it, and my brother got angry. It was horrible. Nate shouted at my dad that he wasn't a bank or moneylender. I knew my dad would feel so hurt by that. My dad is one of those people who doesn't ask for help too easily. I can be like that as well, and I completely understood how my dad would be feeling. Don't get me wrong, we all knew that it was my brother's money, but he was still living in my parents' home. Plus, they'd worked so hard to put us both through college. Why was my brother being so mean to them? At the end of the day, it was only money, right? It made me sad to think that we were much happier before Nate got so rich. Then something terrible happened. My father suffered a stroke. No kidding, it was so frightening. I was scared that he might die. Thank God that he made a pretty good recovery, although he couldn't get around the house so easily. The major issue was that he wasn't able to climb the stairs. My mom said that we had two options, fit a downstairs bathroom or get a chairlift to help him up and down the stairs. The problem is that either one of those options would cost a few $1,000s, and like I said, my mom and dad do okay, but they aren't exactly rolling in spare money. You know what's coming, right? You guessed it. My mom asked my brother if he would pay for the modifications to our home so that my dad could be more comfortable. The way Nate reacted made me ashamed to be his sister. I know that sounds bad on my part, but I really did. He refused to pay for anything, and there was a huge argument between my parents. A few days afterwards, he moved out and into his own apartment. I didn't speak with Nate for a few weeks after that, but then he called me up and invited me over to see his new place. I mean, wow, it was incredible. Nate's new apartment was in the best part of town, and he had spared no expense in making sure it looked the part. He had a top-of-the-range television, gym equipment, and had filled his wardrobe with designer clothes. I'm only human. I was kind of impressed at all the stuff he had, and I guess I even felt a little envious. But then I got to thinking about my dad. Our dad. I swear, the amount Nate had spent on his TV could have paid for my dad to be able to get around our house with a little dignity. I had all kinds of mixed feelings about Nate at this point, but mainly I felt like he was making a big mistake. The brother that I had hero-worshipped wasn't acting like much of a hero anymore. And then, to make matters worse, he got a girlfriend who seemed to enjoy spending his money just as much as he did. As soon as Jessica came on the scene, I didn't get invited to watch TV at Nate's apartment anymore. Suddenly, Jessica and Nate were taking vacations in Mexico and Costa Rica and even hitting up the casinos in Las Vegas. It was Jessica who encouraged Nate to quit his job. I was upset when I heard about that. I remember Nate buzzing with excitement when he got his first paycheck. He had been so happy. Now he was happy, but it was a different kind of happy. And it didn't involve his family. It was 2 months later when I got a call from Nate. He sounded really low, and it was a surprise when he asked me to meet up with him. Will Jessica be there? I asked. Nope, Nate had said. Jessica's long gone. We met in a coffee house near his apartment, and I couldn't help feeling proud of my brother when he walked in, smartly dressed and handsome. For a moment, it felt like the old days. Then I remembered my dad at home, struggling to get upstairs to use the bathroom, knowing that Nate could help out and was choosing not to. I had made a decision. I wasn't going to stay quiet any longer. If I was going to respect myself, I had to tell Nate a few home truths about how mean he had been to my parents. I took a deep breath and was about to speak my mind when Nate got in first with a couple of bombshells of his own. His lottery win had been pretty big, but so was the rent on that slick apartment. With the no-expense-spared vacations, designer clothes, an insanely expensive car, and, surprise, surprise, presents for Jessica, over half of Nate's winnings were already gone. Nate had told Jessica that he was going to ask for his old job back, find a cheaper place to live, and try to hang on to what was left of his money. It turned out that Jessica wasn't too happy about that news, and as soon as she got wind that there would be no more first-class flights to Aruba, she was out of there. I felt sorry for him, but he'd brought it all on himself. Dad, on the other hand, hadn't. I felt my old anger rise again. You could have afforded to help Mom and Dad, but you chose not to. But you're happy to waste money on cars and diamond earrings? Yeah, I'd seen them. For a girl who was only interested in you when you were spending money on her? Nate started to speak. He wasn't used to me talking to him like this, but I cut right across him. You know that you've hurt Mom and Dad so much, but they still love you. They would never turn their backs on you. I looked up to you, Nate, but not anymore. I figured my big brother would always be the good guy, but you're not. I saw Nate flinch at this. I knew that, deep down, he sees himself as the good guy. He wants to be the good guy. He's no better than Jessica, getting his head turned by being rich and forgetting about what makes a decent person. I stood up to leave, and Nate immediately reached for his wallet. Forget it, Nate. I can buy my own coffee, I said as I left. I walked slowly, hoping that Nate would run to catch up with me, but he didn't. Maybe some of what I said hit home, maybe not. I guess time would tell. But guess what? Within days, everything had changed again. Nate moved into a cheaper apartment and managed to get his old job back. He sent Mom and Dad a check for enough money to get the house fixed up. I know this sounds like a happy ending, but it's not the ending. It's just where we are right now. He's patched up the rift, but I've seen a different side of Nate. I know he isn't as strong as I thought he was. He's capable of making bad decisions and treating the people that love him badly. Look, I don't want to be the voice of doom, but I just have this feeling that it could all happen again. Nate still has a stack of money in the bank, and I guess it's true that money can change people. What if Jessica appears on the scene again? What if he has a bad day at work and gives up his job because right now he can afford to bankroll himself? I swear I can see a day when the money runs out. I don't even think it will be that long before it does, unless Nate figures out for himself what his weaknesses are. There comes a point when you can't help someone, though. Is he happier now than before he won the lottery? I really don't think so. But he is a lucky guy, not because he won all that money, but because when it's gone, I'll still be here. So will Mom and Dad. There'll be all kinds of emotions to handle, but there'll still be love. No matter what, we'll love him. His bank balance isn't his safety net. We are. That's family, I guess. I hope that watching the mistakes Nate has made has somehow helped me become wiser. We have a responsibility to